Are you frustrated with playing the guitar? Maybe even so frustrated that you're considering quitting? Are you studying with a teacher currently but just not getting the results that you're looking for?
Or I've taken lessons from other folks. I've asked my friends who play their instruments, so a number of different ploys. I wouldn't say that I made any sort of consistent progress at any point with any of them.
Are you getting frustrated trying to teach yourself using things like books and videos on the internet?
I've bought videos, I've purchased books, I've downloaded tabs. Usually, maybe if I bought a book, I might get one nugget out of it that might benefit me, but I wouldn't say that I saw any sort of real sustained growth over any period of time. It was more of a, I'd be on a plateau for a long time, and then maybe it might help me a little bit, but then I'm back on the plateau again.
Do you have a desire to actually do something with the skills that you're learning? Things like learning to figure out your favorite songs, writing your own songs, doing things like playing guitar solos, and improvising and being able to make things up on the spot. Or to even play and perform in a band. Or to even learn how to record your own songs. Or just to do something as simple as be able to play and have fun while you're hanging out with your friends. Well, the truth is, everyone who's ever picked up the guitar, including your favorite guitar players, have all struggled with these exact same challenges and issues at some point. The same exact challenges that you're struggling with right now. I myself have had to face many of these same issues throughout my career and life as a musician, as have my students. But what I've found to be true almost 100% of the time is that the number one way to eliminate all of those pain in the butt problems is to learn by studying and playing with other people who have successfully done the things that you are trying to do, or can at least prove that they have helped other people to do or become successful at those exact same things. My name is Dru Silver, and I am one of the few guitar teachers in this area who can say and prove that I have successfully helped people to overcome those exact same challenges.
I think that the lessons that I've taken from Dru are the best lessons I've taken from any of the folks that I've had them from. I found that in my experience, I had a teacher that taught way over my head. I just never felt like I could connect with them, and I wasn't on the same plane as he was. So, and another frustration is he wasn't reliable. He wasn't punctual, and one of the things that I really like about Dru, even though it doesn't have anything to do with actually the lessons themselves, is the guy shows up on time. He shows up every day. He doesn't miss a lesson and then call you after the fact and apologize, and then you have to try to rearrange your schedule. I mean, those sound like kind of small things, but as a busy guy, it was really annoying. And that is something that I really appreciate about Dru. Let's face it, musicians are not necessarily a real reliable, punctual kind of group of people as a whole. So to find somebody who seems to be responsible and comes prepared, that's obviously an important factor that maybe you don't necessarily think about when you initially make the decision. But if you pick the wrong teacher, it can become a big factor. Well, I think a lot of getting better at the guitar is something that's going to happen outside the classroom, outside the lesson environment. And I think one of the important things that, as a student of the instrument, that you need to learn is you need to learn how to practice when, in the hours that you need to practice between the lessons. And if you don't have a good approach to how you are going to learn the instrument, then, the time you spend in the classroom is only a fraction of the time you need to spend on it. And Dru has done a great job of helping me figure out how I should spend my practice time to get more out of it. Key things I've learned from Dru are to slow down and quit trying to play things at full speed, and quit trying to, in the past my approach was more to just sort of half learn something and then try to kind of fill in the gaps later. And his approach is to learn it correctly from the beginning, just to learn it very slowly. That's a different approach, I'm kind of a stubborn, thick-headed person, and over a period of time, he's drilled into my head, slow it down. And when I've tried it, I got results. Well, the things that I enjoy about the lessons is that Dru is a very flexible teacher. He always comes with some sort of an agenda, a lesson plan, but I'm probably one of his more mature students, and I have my own agenda. I'm in a band. There's specific things that I want to work on, and he's been very flexible about and adaptable. So we, often sometimes I deviate from maybe what his plans were, but we would spend the time working on whatever it was that has been bothering me. I think one other thing is that things that I was personally having problems with, maybe a solo on a Cars song or something like that, he'd go home, work it out, and come back the next lesson. He'd have it all written out for me in tab form, and we would spend that lesson or maybe the next 4 lessons, depending, going through it. And, I really appreciated the fact that he took the time, away from our class to work on stuff. And I know it's, probably not material he was able to use with other students. It was very specific to my needs. So he tailored the lessons to my needs. I met Dru through Craigslist. That's how I found him. So he was a stranger to me when he showed up at my house. He's a younger guy. He's literally old enough to be my son, and it is a little strange taking lessons from somebody who is, that much younger than you. But his technique is amazing. I mean, as a guitar player, he came in, blew me away. I knew for a fact that, there was a lot I could learn from him. But again, I've known many players over the years who had phenomenal technique, but they didn't have the ability to communicate with somebody else and to teach. Teaching is a completely separate skill from playing the guitar. So, having the ability to come in I was not skeptical at all after the first lesson about his technique, but initially when I saw him, I wasn't sure if he was somebody who'd be able to teach me. And I'd had lessons before where I didn't get much out of it, so he needed to prove himself in that regard. But over the course of time, I got to know him. I found him to be punctual, reliable, patient, kind, prepared, and I got to know him and found him to be a very trustworthy. Again, I invited him into my house. I didn't know the guy, I got to be very comfortable and just found him to be really a great resource and somebody that eventually came to call a friend. So I'm proud to know him. The time I've gotten to know him, I've seen him grow even as a teacher as I've grown as a student. So he seems to be committed to his own journey with this instrument, to not just sort of stopping his own learning process, but I've given him some of the books that I bought that I just couldn't wrap my brain around, or they were at a level above me. He'd take them home and devour them and come back a week later and say, there's some great stuff in here, let's talk about it. And it's neat for me as a student to realize that he's a student too. You know, we're all students of this instrument. It's a lifelong process to learn to play this thing, and it's cool, you know, to feel like it's kind of something we're all in together, and his enthusiasm for it and for any style of music. I mean, that's the other thing is I've introduced him to some bands and some styles of music that I don't think are necessarily things he would have come onto by himself. But as a musician, he could hear, you know, the things that I heard in them and why I like them, because, you know, he could hear there was some interesting technique or whatever, and he would become enthusiastic about them too, and it was neat to you know, find somebody who kind of would share my enthusiasm for some of the stuff. So it was a well, I say was, like it's a pastime. It's been a great time knowing him, and you know, I plan on him being my one and only guitar teacher for as long as I play guitar.
Call the number on your screen today, or fill out a personal assessment form on our website, and my staff and I will help you to identify what things are currently holding you back in your guitar playing from playing the guitar the way that you want, and we'll help discover with you what we can do to overcome those obstacles so that you can start living the musical life you've always wanted.